Hey guys, it's Maggie and I am back today to talk about my 1 year anniversary of getting kidney surgery. I can't believe it's been a year already, but I'm going to go back to what it felt like before surgery, why I had it, and how I'm doing a whole year later. All right, tell me what you think of this setup. I moved to our kitchen because we got a new kitchen table counter thing and I love it. You can't see it in this video, so I don't know why I'm filming here, but I wanted to film here. As many of you know, I had kidney surgery a year ago today, and the technical term for this surgery is pyeloplasty for a UPJ obstruction. Now, I have a whole bunch of other health conditions going on. Well, I have one main one here, and it's Crohn's disease, and because of that, I've had a number of abdominal surgeries, which can then in turn cause a lot of scar tissue buildup in your abdominal cavity, which seems to be the most likely reason why I would get a UPJ obstruction. And basically this obstruction is where your ureter connects into your kidney. So I had a narrowing in that tube, the ureter, on my right side. They actually discovered this issue a few years ago when I started seeing my GI doctor. I had an MRI done and they caught that I had a narrowing on that side, except I was asymptomatic. I didn't have any problems with it. I never had kidney issues, bladder issues, any of that before. So we never thought anything of it. My GI doctor did want me to consult with a urologist. I went to that urologist and I kind of got laughed at. She's like, well, you're asymptomatic, so I have no idea why you're here. And I said, well, I don't know. I was told to come here, and she literally did nothing. Then I started to notice pain developing on my right side. And because I also have an ileostomy bag on this side, I thought, am I getting obstructions? Like, it kind of feels like the same area. I really wasn't sure, but that's kind of just what I thought. And I thought I was getting obstructions from food, so I would have to like reposition myself to get myself more comfortable. As time went on though, that pain got considerably worse and worse, to the point where I couldn't do anything when it was acting up. And I will say that that was the worst pain that I have ever had. I made a vlog around Halloween time and we went to Busch Gardens, and I love that place. I love going to theme parks. I love roller coasters and all that stuff. But had noticed over that past summer leading into the Halloween time that anytime we would go to an amusement park, I couldn't handle it. Like, I could not handle the ride. I almost threw up outside of the go-karts at Dorney Park one time that summer because my body was just like not able to handle anything. And I didn't know what was wrong. I thought it was just Crohn's disease, but I kept kind of ignoring it until I couldn't ignore it. But anyway, I did a vlog in Busch Gardens, and looking back, I truly don't know how I survived that trip. We were there all day long. It's my favorite time to be there. I recommend it. Williamsburg, like, it's amazing during Halloween. I love it. But I could barely walk from the pain that I was having, and I like don't know. And by the end of the day, I kept joking around with Zach and our friend that we went with that like, oh, we should get a wheelchair for me because I'm in pain. But like, Zach saw that and he was like, we should get you a wheelchair. Like, let's go get one. And I was like, no, I'm not. I don't need that. I don't need a wheelchair. I'm fine. Like, I can walk. I needed a wheelchair. I needed one. I couldn't walk. I was in complete agony, and it was awful. I kept trying to live life. I found ways around it. Like, if I stretched and laid down, like, and kind of turned to the left, it felt like I could stretch out that area, and I didn't know it at the time. I was probably moving my kidney in a way where it could drain better. I also found that drinking water with salt in it helped a ton. I don't know if it's like when you have a sore throat and you gargle salt water, it like pulls the inflammation out, kind of like pulls the fluid out of your throat. I don't know if it was something like that and that's why it worked, but that helped too. I could not drink large amounts of fluid though. And when I say large amounts, I mean like 3 ounces I could not drink. I had to drink everything extremely slow because my kidney could only handle so much fluid in it at a time because it was backed up. I had no idea it was backing up. And that's really difficult when you have an ileostomy and kind of need to drink all the time to stay hydrated. So it was just impossible. I wound up finally getting connected to a surgeon and I got a nuclear med scan of my kidney. Basically, we filled me up with contrast. I had Lasix that helped my urine go through really fast, and we saw both kidneys light up with the contrast, which is normal. And then as it starts to drain out into the bladder, the kidneys are supposed to get darker on the screen, and my right kidney just stayed filled with fluid. I was in so much pain from that because of the Lasix filling up my kidney so quickly. It was awful. But it gave us the knowledge that I do indeed have a really bad stricture in my ureter and it needs to be taken care of. I was given a few options by the surgeon. He said, we could do a stent in there and try that out, and it might fail in the future. You might have to get stents placed again and again just to open it back up. Or we can go in and remove that section in surgery and reconnect, the good piece of your ureter to your kidney. And I said, I know it's more invasive, but I'm miserable and don't ever want to deal with this again. Let's go for the surgery, which I was super nervous about. Obviously, I had the surgery July 22nd, 2020, and Zach and I got married in October of 2020. So I was nervous because I didn't know what was going to happen, how quickly I was going to heal. But I also compared this surgery to the many other surgeries that I've had, and I thought it was minimally invasive. I was like, I'll probably heal from this pretty quick. It shouldn't be too painful. I've had intestinal resections and they've been fine. Obviously there's pain associated with it, but it's fine. You can deal with it. It feels like you just worked out really, really super hard. Okay, well, Maggie didn't prepare herself for this surgery adequately because there was more to it than we knew originally. When my surgeon got in there, he saw that I was completely filled with scar tissue. I had scar tissue growing all over the place. He said he scraped it from, I don't know if he scraped it off my bladder, but I think he scraped it off of my liver. And it was just kind of everywhere, which is to be expected after having multiple abdominal surgeries, especially an open one. You guys know I have my big midline scar. So not completely unexpected to have that. I did find out later that I have adenomyosis, which I don't know a ton about, but is related to endometriosis. A lot of people have both of them. I talked with my gynecologist about the likeliness that scar tissue he was pulling out being endometriosis and not just scar tissue. And she said, it's probably scar tissue. It's probably from your surgeries. So I did just have a recent clean out and it seems like it wasn't endometriosis. So I don't think that I have that. Anyway, that's besides the point. Because, he took care of the kidney, he got rid of the narrow part of my ureter, and he stitched my kidney upwards towards my liver. That's what he said. He stitched my kidney upwards, I think it kind of tilted. It was tilted in a funny position, so he tilted it back another way, so that way the ureter could drain easier. He did all that. That was fine and dandy, but then the scar tissue clean out. That hurt. That hurt a lot. I remember waking up from that surgery and being like, oh my gosh, this hurts way more than I thought it would. I remember being really miserable after my surgery. I had been brought up to the hospital room and I was just not having it. I was nauseated because I always get super nauseated from the anesthesia. Oh, and the other thing about that surgery, which I've told this story before, but it was my first time being hospitalized during the pandemic. So all of the guidelines had changed, and I was told originally that Zach could be with me through all of it, which wasn't really true. We went in, he was in the waiting room, and they took me by myself to go get prepped for the operation, go into the like I never saw him again. Once we walked into the hospital doors, like he went into a room, I said bye and walked away and didn't see him until that night after the surgery was done. And I didn't know that was going to happen. That's not what I was told was going to happen. I was told he would be by my side like he has been for every other surgery. I just, like, it was fine and I understood it. It just wasn't what I expected. So I got super emotional beforehand, and I wound up crying on the OR table as they're knocking me out. And I had the sweetest nurse. She was super tough, like, no nonsense kind of nurse. I love those kind of nurses. But as soon as I started breaking down crying, she like put her arms around me and hugged me, and she said, "We're gonna take care of you." I wish I could remember her name, but obviously I got pretty drugged up right after that, so I don't remember her name. Anyways, so yes, that surgery was very difficult. Healing from, I bounced back pretty quickly. I was back to normal things within 10 days. Obviously, I wasn't lifting a whole lot, but the annoying thing about that was I had to keep a stent in for a month, and the stent was where my ureter was reattached to kind of help it heal open. So, if there was no stent there, there was a chance that it would just heal closed. And the stent went down into my bladder, so it had kind of like a little string hanging in my bladder, and that causes the worst bladder spasms. It's awful. Now, I know some people have the string hanging actually out of them and they can pull their own stent out when things are said and done, but mine, he just left it into my bladder, and it was kind of like dangling around in there, tickling the sides, making me feel like I had to pee every 5 seconds. It was awful. The spasms were terrible, so I was counting down the days until I could get that stent out. And they did take the stent out right in their office. I didn't need to be sedated or anything. It was fine. Found out that I have a little bit of a curved entryway to my bladder, so that was the only part that hurt, because my surgeon kept trying to insert his camera for the cystoscopy. I think that's what it's called. Been a while since this. But he kept trying to insert the camera straight, and he had to like actually curve a little bit to the side and then go in. But once he got in there, he was able to grab the end of the string and just pull it out, and that was fine. It feels funny, it feels like pressure, but it didn't hurt, and it was almost immediate relief. Since then, it has completely changed how I feel. I didn't realize how bad I felt until I felt normal again, and this was the most extreme change that I've ever had after a surgery, like the most noticeable difference, which made me feel like I made the right decision getting it done. But I don't know how I went through all of that time without getting this done. And obviously nobody wants to get surgery. You just kind of put it off. You put it off until you really need it. At least that's what I did. But once it was said and done, once the stent was out, it was just such an improvement. And I noticed I improved in other things. I was able to gain weight a little bit easier. I noticed other things regulated out in my body. I had the proctocolectomy surgery where I had my colon, rectum, and anus removed. When was that? December of 2019. So I don't know how many months that is before the kidney surgery. But it felt like I healed from it, but I was still like on the edge, like, come on, I want to make it a little bit further. I want to feel a little bit better. And it felt like once I took care of the kidney thing, me as a whole could heal. Also, I'll mention I had a number of incisions from this surgery. They were done laparoscopically, and I also had a JP drain. And the JP drain was the scariest sight, I would say, because when I was in the hospital, it would not stop draining. Even once they removed the JP drain, where it had entered into me, where there was the hole, it just kept leaking. And then that hole healed over, and I could tell that the fluid, wherever it was coming from, was still leaking. We feared in the hospital, we were like, oh my God, is this urine? But we tested it and it was not urine. It was just fluid from me, like serous drainage. But after that hole had, kind of scabbed over a bit, the fluid was still draining. So I got really swollen right under my ostomy and I was scared. Thankfully, it went down in about a week's time. So by the time I went back to my surgeon, I mentioned it to him and I said, it's gone down and it's fine. Now it hurts. There's still pain there, but it is now fine. I will say, like, my other incisions around my belly are totally healed, totally fine, tiny. I will show you. I'm trying to remember which laparoscopic incisions are from which surgery. I think I know, but I'll just show you my belly so you can see how it healed. The one area that still hurts if I press on it is the JP drain site right under my ostomy. So I don't know, it was a funky area. It's probably growing some scar tissue there, but it's okay. Like, I don't feel pain just standing, sitting. It's when I press on it. And I notice it sometimes because I'll change my ostomy bag and I'll press around the edges. And if I press just kind of on the right spot, I will feel it. So I'm here a year out and I do get just the ever so slightest twinge in my kidney. It does not feel like the pain I had of it backing up. That pain was horrible. I never want to feel that again. But the twinge is almost like, it's like a reminder, like, yeah, you got cut open there and they had to move some stuff around and it only lasts a few seconds and then it resolves. So I will 100% take that over that awful, awful backing up pain. I do fear that if I built scar tissue up enough to block off my ureter, that it'll happen again. And I did talk to my surgeon about this. I said, is there a way that I can prevent this really from happening? Like, prevent scar tissue from growing back? And he said, not really. That if you become symptomatic again from the scar tissue, if it affects other areas, you can get another laparoscopic surgery to clear you out, which sounds super similar to what people with endometriosis do when they get kind of all that stuff cleared out of them. So yeah, but that's where I am. I am definitely much better a year later, and I'm glad it's over with and done. And I think since I got one single UTI, I think I got a UTI this past October, but I have not had any more since. It seems like everything is running through fine. I can drink all the fluids I need, stay hydrated, and yeah. All right, guys, if you have any questions about pyeloplasty or UPJ obstructions, I don't know a ton on them because thankfully I got mine taken care of and I've kind of left that world in the past. But if you have questions, let me know. I hope that you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next. Bye, guys.